look now at our starting grid. We've inverted the first 9 cars. Bo Miller, who ran in the truck race, as you heard. Steve Pendergrass also ran the trucks. Mark Day has a win this season. Josh Weston, a high school student, 18 years old. Stuart Kirby alongside him. Roy Binkley, 2 wins this season in this series. On row 5, Joe Buford, there he is, champ 3 years in a row. Wade Buttrey finished second 4 times this season. He'd like to change that around a little bit. Stedman Marlin, son of Sterling. Kyle Robinson's only 19 years old. Out through Casey Bishop, Andy Johnson, 2 wins in 2000. Nate Monteith, his first race here this year. Jeff Letson was the Rookie of the Year. Mike Reynolds, the truck champion, is running here. Joe Ruttman, yes, the Joe Ruttman's running in this race as well. Jeff Dillon, Dwayne Hudson, and Michael Green are involved. Chase Montgomery, another one of those youngsters here cutting his teeth. Keith Merton, Kyle McClenathan running, and Tommy Kleinmer, son of one of the legends here in Nashville. Chuck Bannon alongside, and Chuck, these late model guys ought to have a little bit of an advantage. Kind of can find out from the truck guys what this track is like.
Well, you know, the trucks run the exact same tire that the late models run, so the trucks probably cleaned the track off quite a bit since the All-Pro race with their different tire situations. So that'll probably help the cars out just a little bit. Now, Ruttman's going to have to go to the back of the pack. He was not here for qualifying and had a Chad Chafin qualify his car for him, so he'll fall to the rear. And we've got a big field. We've got 42 of these late model stock cars out here to get it on tonight. These guys have been waiting all day to race.
Well, there's the 70. Joe Ruttman is driving that machine. Let's get more on that story.
Joe Ruttman was at the Craftsman Truck Series banquet this past week, so he was not able to qualify the car, so they picked on Chad Chaffin, who was here this weekend. A very special weekend for former track champions, and Joe Ruttman now lives in the Nashville area. And as a favor to his lifelong friend Earl Owens, who's a chassis builder here, he runs this race. Last year he started 9th and finished 2nd. Ruttman wasn't able to qualify the car, but he's going to run the Owens house car here tonight and try to win this race for his buddy. And it's kind of neat to see Joe Ruttman here. And Rick Crawford, who is a Craftsman Truck Series competitor, was here earlier today, and he had a function in the Nashville area. These guys like to go to see racing, and as we wind down the season, to see Joe Ruttman still want to continue racing at age 56, I say it's pretty special, and I think the fans are in for a treat seeing Ruttman come from the back.
Well, another guy who's going to have to go to the back is Jeff Roberts in 103. He's made a motor change, so he's going to go start the rear. This is a fun track to drive on, as we talked about a moment ago, and there's the posted awards. 42 cars will go 75 laps, and again, we will not count cautions. So that means we got a good time here to, if you're at the back, to make your way towards the front.
Yeah, it's a tough track. It's a difficult track, and it's bred a lot of great racing legends over the years. This Saturday night racing, just like we're going to see here in a few minutes.
I still think we're going to have another pace lap here. This .596 track, it's a big short track, you know, and there's a definite way to get around here, and these guys who run it every week really know all the secrets.
Yeah, the trucks seem to like that second groove in the second half of their race. It'll be interesting to see if these cars will be the same way. I think normally on the weekly basis these guys run right down to the bottom, but I think they're going to move around a little bit tonight.
Still on our pace laps here, and we have had a lot of tire rubber laid down today. We're going to have the green flag in just a moment. Right now we'll take a break as we're on the pace laps, getting ready to run late models here in Nashville, Tennessee. Back in Nashville, Tennessee, and you see them now double file with the pace car on the back stretch. We should be ready to go green here. And Bo Miller, Steve Pendergrass, who we just talked about, running in a truck race.
Yeah, they've got the front row, and they're just about ready to get it on.
Green flag flies, and we're racing again at Nashville Speedway. Looks like that's Pendergrass who is breaking out to an early lead.
Yeah, he got the jump on the start there. 1 and 2 a little bit better, and he's broke off to the lead.
We mentioned Mark Day starting 3rd.
Last year's winner.
Yeah.
He'll be a contender.
You see him right there in the center of your screen. That 650 white car on the inside.
Making a move to third place. Trying to get by the number 76 G.E. Chapman.
Mark Day out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Had 1 win during the season.
He's already side by side with Bo Miller, challenging for second. Looks like he's going to get that done too.
So Mark Day early on showing some strength. So is Weeby Pendergrass. A few sparks flying there. It's a great night for racing here in Nashville. Just underway. 75 laps will run. Only green laps count.
So far they hit big green. We've only run 4 laps, but it looks pretty good. There's still a lot of side-by-side action all the way around the racetrack. No altercations. Grass is stretching out about a couple of car length lead.
Mark Day showing a lot of strength early as he moves into second, but you're right about Pendergrass. He'll be Joe Buford's teammate in 2001. Said pretty darn good truck racer. We saw him in the Super Truck race just a few minutes ago. And was actually a contender till he got involved in a late race spin.
I would imagine we'll see him working his way to the front in this one tonight.
More on our leader now from Bob Dillner.
Is pretty pumped up because this is his first ever late model race at Nashville. He came here a couple of weeks ago and had a private test session with 3-time champ and teammate for this race, Joe Buford. He is so excited. He said he's going to get a little bit nervous inside that car. His biggest feat here today, controlling his emotion.
Well, you know he's got to be really pumped up. Look at that. Sometimes 3 wide racing here. They are really going after it. And again, this doesn't count for any points. You can let it all out.
Going away a little bit on Bo Miller. He's starting to fade back just a little bit there.
The 7 you saw there a moment ago is Stuart Kirby, 18 years old. There it is in the middle of your screen. Out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Continuing the lead is Steve Pendergrass. .48, they're making a move and turning someone around. We're getting ready to talk about Roy Binkley, and he turns around the 97 of Josh Weston. Weston hit one of those safety tires there.
I think they managed to only have 3 cars involved. It looked like there was going to be 15 involved for a moment.
It did look like trouble. There's the 48 of Binkley.
He's got some serious trouble. He's broke his panhard bar. The rear end's walking all over the place. This one doesn't look too good either.
Binkley had 2 wins. There's Josh Weston, who had a second this year, was the Rookie of the Year in '99. High school student. Boy, he's not going to be too happy with that.
No, even though the cautions do not count, they can have a little extra time. I still think they're in a bind.
We had a caution on lap 9. Let's go down to Jim.
The crew heavily working quite quickly on Josh Weston's number 97. They've already pounded off the left front fender. What's interesting to note is this car has a fiberglass hood, nose, and roof. Everything else is tin, so they're actually moving away the bodywork. And where the nose met the fender, they're trying to tape it underneath. These cars still average over 100 miles per hour, and that's pretty fast for any weekly show.
It is, and you see the work going on. Let's take a look if we can, Chuck, and see what happened.
All right. 48 car trying to get underneath. Oh, they get together real quick getting in the corner. It was kind of a sudden impact that knocked the 97 out of shape fast. The 4 car had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Brad Baker in the 4 car. We had not talked about him at all, but he also got caught up in it. There you see Brinkley.
Yeah, that's just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But it looks like several more are going to get involved here, but everyone gets on through. When this car comes back down across the track, it's kind of scary for number 7 there, but he gets on by.
Roy Binkley was the points runner-up this past season. It looks like his night's going to come to an early end. Bob Dillner?
Well, Chuck Bound was exactly right. A broken panhard bar on the number 48 of Roy Binkley. He's putting the net down. He is done for the night.
Tough break for Roy Binkley. And you see the disappointment on his face as he unhooks We're under caution. Steve Pendergrass and G.E. Chapman out in front. Welcome back to the Nashville Speedway. Steve Pendergrass is no longer our leader. He has had problems. Let's get more on it from Jim.
What happened, guys, is that oil started spraying all over the driver. An oil line fitting came loose. He came down pit lane. The crew went right to work trying to fix the fitting. Then they realized that there was oil all over the footwell of his race car and all over Steve Pendergrass. So the crew took their time because, again, yellow laps are not counting to get that cleaned up, get the oil fitting tight, and get Pendergrass back out there. But, of course, he lost the lead in a lot of track time, and his only shot of winning a late model race this year.
What a tough break indeed it was. And we are back to green. 76 G.E. Chapman, and there's a spin. That's Joe Buford.
Got involved, but I don't think it did any serious damage. Those car, we've got some others that might have some damage.
The 2 is Brian.
That one's torn up. 80 car there.
The 80 of Tony Formosa up against the wall.
He's taking the net down and climbing out. He can't drive it away.
The good news is he's okay. Boy, the restart, not a good one.
Yeah, he was on the move. He was going to the front, and he may come back. There's still a lot of laps left in this race. I don't think he got any serious damage.
Well, there's some serious damage on that machine.
Yes, there is.
That's the 24 car of Justin Alsop. Let's go to Jim Trado.
Well, Justin Alsop's crew is working on getting the right front fender taken care of, but it was a skyward launch that they're worried about. They're looking at the suspension for the 22-year-old. Alsop is a student at the Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio. It's a 6-hour one-way drive for this team, 350 miles. They certainly wanted to have a better run in what may be their final race of the year.
Boy, that's a long way to go to have problems early.
It's going to be a long trip home.
See if we can see what happened again. That's kind of the aftermath, and Joe Buford turned around.
Boy, he did get up in the air a long ways with that 80 car. He definitely has some suspension damage. They did eventually push it away from the wall, and he did drive it back to pit road, but he has problems.
That is the 80 of Tony Formosa. Boy, you can see Tony giving some instructions there to his crew. Tony is a veteran. Lots of wins in Middle Tennessee
and the steering wheel off and climbing out.
Alabama, and it looks like that night is done for Tony. Well, let's check in now with Bob Dillner.
Mike Reynolds started 25th. He had worked his way up to 8th before the Truck Series champ is now out of the race. Talk about that.
Well, you know what? Just we had a phenomenal car. I told you before the race started, you know, we should have sat on the pole tonight. Car was great. I got to thank Full Throttle and Aluminum Racing Products. Full Throttle's the guys that support all the racing guys around here where they get their parts from, and it's an honor for me to drive the car for them. And that's going to be our deal next year. We're going to move on to late models and try to win that national title there. We had a great car, man. You know, got to thank Pennzoil. Man, this thing had good forward bite, and we've just moving to the front. I felt like we could have won the thing. It just seen the wreck, got it slowed down plenty of time. Guys behind me just drilled me in the back end, got me turned sideways, and after that, Katie barred the door, man, just wasn't nowhere to go.
Mike Reynolds, a contender in this race. He's out now.
Tough break for the guy who won the national championship and the series truck championship here, and moving to late models next year. We've completed 12 laps. We are under caution. G.E. Chapman is our leader. Let's go down to Jim.
And Tony Formosa actually started racing here many years ago. And Tony, it's been a long run here at Nashville. Have you ever been skyward like that? It was one heck of a ride.
You know, I've had a little bit of everything happen, and but that kind of caught us off guard. My spotter saw it. He told me to go high, go up high, and I went up high. And right when I went to try to pass the wreck, somebody come up in front of me, and I got up on their right rear tire.
You're out of it, obviously, but running here since 1969, you've seen your share of runs. This track is a mighty fast track. Was it inexperienced at that point, or just nowhere to go?
Well, there was nowhere to go, and no, it didn't come from lack of experience. I mean, you know, like I said, my spotter saw the wreck. He told me to check up, go to the outside, and I did that. The car came up in front of me. I had nowhere to go at that point, so tough luck for us.
Mike?
Well, it is tough luck. And Tony Formosa, the veteran here, is out of the race. 12 laps in. G.E. Chapman, our leader, will be back with more late model stock car racing from Nashville Speedway. Welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee. Mike Hogwood, Chuck Babb, Bob Dillner, and Jim Trello down on the pit lane. And after a long caution period, G.E. Chapman is our leader as we get ready to go back to green. Brian Rose is in second place. Mark Day is third in that white car.
Well, looks like a pretty clean restart.
Brian Rose out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, running second. Started 14th. He's a regular here at Nashville. Struggled early in the season. Finished a little stronger.
They're just about side by side. He's trying that inside like we've been seeing all night to make the pass, and he's going to pull it off.
Brian Rose heads into the lead. Boy, he'd love a win.
He's drove her to the front. He's leading this one.
Yeah, and you notice G.E. Chapman there is not giving it up too easily. The 55 is Benny Hamlet, and the 650 there is Mark Day. Those four all contending and all running very, very close together. The 7 black car there on your screen, that is Stuart Kirby. Brian Rose, who drove down from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
They're pretty well nose to tail, these first 7 or 8 cars here. They're pretty evenly matched at this point of the race. Oh, 55 taking a look.
Benny Hamlet, Smyrna, Tennessee. There he goes. Hamlet had 3 top 5s this year, so he knows how to run up front. Best finish was 3rd.
He completed the pass. It looked quite easy, actually.
You see how he's kind of crushed in there
on
the right front just a little bit.
He's been into somebody a little.
More on Benny from Jim Trello.
Benny actually made a very daring move on the restart to get in position to take the lead. He's a 30-year-old driver that actually ran mini modifieds here for 6 seasons before moving into late models. He won a championship in that time, but if you've ever seen mini modifieds in a local track, they're very darty. And what he did is he darted himself into position on the bottom to take the spot away from Rose and lead this deal.
Finished 7th in the points this year. 2000 his best year ever in late models. He did run among the leaders in several races this season. And is leading now on lap 19.
Trying to get by Rose for the 2nd position. I think he pulled it off. Yeah, he's solidly into 2nd.
G.E. Chapman, we're talking about, moving into 2nd place. Rose is 3rd. Mark Day is 4th.
Stuart Kirby's challenging Mark Day for that 4th position. So far, all the passes on the inside.
And the top 3 cars here, Chuck, have never won a race. How big would that be?
Wow. And look at the tail end of that pack. I believe it's Joe Ruttman started scratching on the field. We're at lap 20, and he's up with the lead pack.
Remember, Ruttman had to go to the rear. There's that blue 70. You can't hardly miss it. It's that bright blue car. Right in the center of your screen, number 70. There it is. Joe Ruttman is making a move in a hurry.
The number 7 still side by side with Mark Day, the number 7 of Stuart Kirby.
Ruttman getting by Cecil Chun in the 84. Up Kirby from Jim.
Considering he's running inside of Mark Day, who's been racing here, it seems like forever with his father, Wayne Day. Mark Day is having a challenge by a young man named Stuart Kirby, just 18 years of age. He finished 16th in points this year, but his distant cousin Andy Kirby's been giving him a lot of help. Andy's a 3-time track champion here at Nashville.
Yeah, that Kirby name is a famous one here at this racetrack.
Yes, it is.
Stuart Kirby, as we said, got going in go-karts. 75 go-kart wins Stuart Kirby has.
These two have been side by side for about 5 consecutive laps now. The 0 car, Ricky Sanford, he's wanting to go.
And we've got caution again. 2 cars involved in it. One of them is the 2, Brian Ruppy, the 22 of Keith Mert. That has, those are team cars. You see, they look a lot alike. They are team cars. And
might be some explaining there, huh?
might be a little bit.
Sharp looking cars.
We've run 24 laps. And our leader is Benny Hamlet. There's Benny. You see the right front on that car crushed in just a little bit. Again, we are under caution here. We've had another spin in Nashville. We'll be back with more racing in just a moment. And we're back at Nashville Speedway USA. Ready to go green.
Well,
24 laps, Ian.
It was a pretty slow restart there by the leader, but nobody managed to run into each other. They all kept them straight, so they all worked out.
Now opened up a couple of car length lead as Benny Hamlet over G.E. Chapman and Brian Rose. Stuart Kirby has moved into 4th.
Peter has quite a bit of damage on that right front fender and the hood blowing around quite a bit. I would think that would take away a little bit of downforce on that right front tire, but it seems to be running fine out front.
You see there the Mark Day machine, the 650, losing yet another position almost to Ricky Sanford in the black 0. Day trying to hang on to 5th place. And there's the 70 behind him, Joe Rudman, who had to drop to the end of the field to start the race.
Stedman Marlin right behind him, creeping up there in the 14.
Rudman right behind Mark Day. Again, that's the battle for 5th place. Mark Day, Ricky Sanford, Joe Rudman. Don't forget Mr. Marlin back there in number 14.
Several more right behind them.
Yeah, really some really great racing here.
And they're not being real patient. We've had our share of troubles already for just 28 laps. I think they've forgotten it's a 75 lapper, not a 30.
Fans here at Nashville Speedway see this on a weekly basis in the spring and summer.
Racing.
Good racing.
I think the 0 car probably finally just made a pretty good move on Mark Day and was able to get the whole racetrack to himself now, where he could probably make a little bit better time.
Mark Day's car obviously not handling the way he wants it to.
No, he's the defending champion of this race. I think he's struggling a little bit tonight.
Running side by side with Joe Rutman now. And the 14 is Stedman Marlin. That is the son of Sterling.
Stedman looked tempted to stick it 3 wide there for a moment, but I don't think that'd work here in Nashville.
This now the battle for 6th place. And Joe Rutman is going to claim 6th position.
He's cleared him. He's got a clean track for a few laps. Here comes Stedman. Yeah, I definitely think Mark Day is having some trouble.
Mark Day continues to drop back position after position. Now in 8th. Joe Rudman will set his sights on the top 5 now. And Ricky Sanford in that 0 car. Meanwhile, out front, Benny Hamlin continues to lead. Car 55, Benny Hamlin. Remember, there's damage on the right front.
Maybe that cold night air hitting that right front tire is helping it cool it off a little bit.
Hamlin had 3 top 5s this year. His best finish, as we said, was 3rd. He finished 7th in the points. Brian Rose is running 3rd in car 72. Let's get more on that story from Bob Dillon.
Brian Rose is a very interesting story, Mike. He is a student at Western Kentucky University. In fact, he's majoring in pre-law, taking 15 credits right now. His dad told him, listen, if you stay in school, I'll let you go racing as much as you want. So kind of a dream come true for Brian Rose.
And he had a tough time this year. He struggled early in the season. Finished up a little bit stronger.
He's having a pretty good run so far tonight. He's led a little bit of it. He's maintaining 3rd quite comfortably right now at the present time.
Field seems to be a little bit spread out for this short track sprint.
Yeah, it does. Stuart Kirby there in 4th. He's kind of taking a look at Brian, but they definitely have a few car lengths between the first 8 or 10 of them.
You can see the interval, the gap there between the first couple of cars. Hamlet back to Chapman in 76, and then Rose in the 72.
I think Buford's working his way back up there. I mean, he's got a ways to go yet, but he's passed a lot. He had to go to the rear of the field after spinning on that restart.
The 84 in your picture is Cecil Chun battling with Mark Day. And the 44 right behind him is Nate Monteith. We mentioned about Joe Buford. There he comes. There's Joe right on the right of your screen. Involved in a spin early. But the 3-time track champion here. The winner in 2000 of the track championship. There's Chun and Day. Battling for position.
We're just past halfway. There's still a lot of time for some of these guys to make some moves.
Look at Joe Buford, would you?
Yeah.
On the inside there, Joe Buford in the 95. He is flying.
Reigning late model champion.
It's the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So Buford back into the top 10 already. There you see a closer look at the track champion.
I think he's going to get him some more before this one's over.
Joe's dad, Fluky Buford, won a big name here at Nashville. He was a former track champion as well. And his mom, Lily, racing the powder puff races in the 70s and did quite well.
I remember those days.
So comes from a racing family.
You don't see any powder puffs anymore.
Buford has gotten by Cecil Chun. Joe Buford is on the move here at Nashville, but it is Benny Hamlin who still leads this late model stock car race at the Nashville Speedway. Bridgehead.com, the online automotive superstore. Millions of replacement parts, performance parts, and accessories. And free shipping. Bridgehead.com. Parts online all the time. Well, we're about ready to go green. There is the 55 of Benny Hamlin taking the green flag. G.E. Chapman, Brian Rose right behind him.
Joe Buford's up to 7th. He's getting back into it.
Hamlin does a good job on these restarts. Several of them here. He's done a very good job.
Done a good job all night. Running very well. Gonna hold them off for about 30 more laps.
That shot there, you got an idea of the speed these late model stock cars can achieve here on this racetrack. These guys can really fly around here. We've said it before, Joe Buford is on the move. The 3-time track champion is knocking them off. Position after position. There goes another one.
That's a Stedman Marlin there. For the 6th position.
Well, we had talked about Joe Ruttman a moment ago, and while we were away, Joe Ruttman spun around. More on that from Bob Dillner.
Well, Joe Ruttman just pulled off the racetrack. He says he is done. If he can't contend for the win, he doesn't want to be out there. What happened? He and Stedman Marlin got together. Marlin was underneath him. Joe says his spotter never told him the 14 car was there. He came down. They collided. Around went Ruttman.
Well, Joe Ruttman was another one who was picking off some positions there, Chuck.
Yeah, he moved up to the top 5 from scratch on the field in pretty short fashion, but I guess he's done now.
This is the battle for 4th place. Stuart Kirby in the 7th, Ricky Sanford in the 0.
Ricky tried to just turn it down underneath him coming off turn 4, but it just wouldn't quite get the grip.
Ricky Sanford, manager of an auto sales store. Stuart Kirby, just 18 years old in that number 7 machine.
He's got a clean pass.
So Ricky Sanford, who started 22nd, is now up to 4th place. Sanford has 1 win this season in this series, 4 top 5s. This now the battle for 6th position.
Buford had gotten by Stedman, but it looks like Stedman's coming back after him.
Stedman Marlin's a fighter.
Uh-oh. I think Buford's a little loose out there. Oh, he just bounced it off the wall.
Buford off the wall.
I think he's done this time.
Boy, you could see that coming. Joe Buford tried so hard to catch back up.
Yeah, he's got the Panhard bar also. He's knocked the Maranthausen way over to the left. I believe he'll call her a night.
He was racing with Stedman Marlin. Look, well, let's get more on the 95 with Joe Buford from Jim.
Down in his pit, some very long faces as he hit the wall hard. The car was loosening up, obviously.
I think the 44 car there, the Nate Monteith, is just blowing a right front tire, knocked part of the fender off and went up by the wall. I don't think he impacted it, but it looked pretty scary there for a moment.
Well, Joe Buford, and we were talking about Stedman Marlin. Mike mentioned that Marlin won the last race of the year here. And there's Joe Buford. Look at the right rear flapping around.
Yeah, the right front wheel's bent very bad. And the whole Maranthausen's knocked over to the left about 6 inches.
Well, you know, it was impressive. It was really fun to watch Joe Buford making his way up through the field, knocking off one car right after the other. But he used up too much car almost, huh?
Yeah, I would imagine if, you know, he's just used to winning and tries to take her to the front. If it won't do it, just not tonight.
No, it's not going to be his night as you see him unbuckling and climbing out of that machine. But what a performance over this season. Joe Buford winning the track championship here. He's won it 3 years in a row. He had 7 wins, 13 top 5s. Nobody runs this Nashville racetrack any better than he does. I'll see if we can see again. You see him getting really loose here.
He's got it way out of shape and straightens it up for a second, but he's just too high on the racetrack and out of room.
Ooh.
Bounces it off pretty hard.
Yeah, he smacked that wall pretty good.
Wow, he got her sideways.
So what hard driving will do, but you know what? He was either going to win this race or he was going to wreck trying.
Yes.
He wrecked trying.
Yes, that's right. That's what my dad used to say, win or be spectacular.
There you go. Let's go down to Jim.
With Joe Buford, Joe, looks like you'll be feeling this for a couple of days. What happened?
Car got a little loose coming off 4 there. I don't know exactly what happened, made it do it. I guess I run into some oil or something on the track and just couldn't save it. Just hit the wall, knocked the air out of me, and banged my knee up, some ribs up under here.
Take care of yourself. You got an off season, but I'm sure you're going to be come back and fight for a 4th championship.
Well, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I want to thank NADC, Part Cities, Nashville 95, and Dennis and Roger McCabe, Dennis Carl and Roger McCabe for giving me this opportunity this year to run for the 3rd straight championship.
Guys?
Well, went 3 straight. He's in pretty handsome company with Sterling Marlin, who also has done that here at this racetrack. 53 laps complete. Benny Hamlin is our leader. 12 laps remain as we get set to go. Green flag here. Benny Hamlin, can he hold on? He's been good on restarts, Chuck, but look at that damage on the right front. Let's see what he does here.
There we go. You got another good restart.
G.E. Chapman in 76 is in second place out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Brian Rose has been running third about the whole second half of this race here, but they're just maintaining those top 3 positions.
We've talked about Benny Hamlin, 2000, his best year ever. Run among the leaders all year, but hasn't won. Would love to do that now. Let's check in with his crew chief, Tim.
We're with Tim Van Winkle. Tim, you're anxiously watching the laps count down. Do you guys have enough to hold them off?
I think so. He got a real loose race car, but he's one real good driver. All we got to do is hang on right here.
Anxiously watching his driver to Bob Dillner.
The crew for G.E. Chapman says they can catch and overtake the 55, but they need consecutive green flag laps to do that. The problem is on restarts, the carburetor gets a lot of fuel in it and bogs that car down. They need this to go green the rest of the way.
That explains why he's been looking so good on the restarts.
Indeed it does.
Second place cars having little carburetor blubber troubles on the restarts.
Stedman Marlin making a move for 4th place in the 14 as he gets by Ricky Sanford. Don't count Stedman out of this show, and here comes Ricky says don't count me out of 4th place. Coming back.
Stock car race, you don't count anything out. Not over yet.
Our champ, and now the Legends car engine builder. There's the 14 of Stedman Marlin. Jim?
Stedman Marlin actually, since he started racing in 1986, had very close ties to his family. 2 cousins, 2 uncles work on this race team. When I asked him about how Cuckoo's involved, he said he wants to drag out shocks from 1967 and blow the dust off. Grandpa's not been around the car much. I don't let him touch my race car.
I don't know. Cuckoo was a pretty darn good racer here at this racetrack. I don't think there's been a Marlin born who wasn't.
No. At a lot of racetracks. Cuckoo did a lot of racing. Well,
but I don't know about those old shocks. I don't think that would work.
G.E. Chapman's wanting it to stay green, but he's starting to run out of time. There's only about 5 laps left, but I do think he's reeling in our leader just a little bit.
5 laps now remain. Is that enough time?
The first 2 have separated themselves from 3rd from Brian, but the first 2 are getting there pretty close here.
G.E. Chapman is catching Benny Hamlin. As we look back in the pack a bit, there's Ricky Sanford running 5th. 4 laps now remain. There's our leader, and there you see the man running 2nd place who is catching it. The 76 of G.E. Chapman knows the time is now.
That's right. He's got to get with the program. 4 laps will go by quickly at Nashville. Brian has his hands full keeping Stedman behind him.
Yeah, Brian Rose, all he can handle was Stedman Marlin in his mirror in the 14. And Marlin's going to try him on the inside.
Stedman. Look, not going to make it happen that time.
This is the battle for 3rd place. Brian Rose from
White flag.
Bowling Green. But tonight,
He's got 4 car lengths with a half a lap to go.
Hamlin coming around turn 4.
Smooth. He's got it. He can coast from here.
Benny Hamlin takes the checkered flag and wins this late.
The 3rd position.
That is his career first late model win. He's a past pro modified champion here, but boy, he has got to be excited. Let's go back down to pit road and Jim.
A lot of celebration, Tim. You guys pulled it off. Pretty excited.
I tell you what, we've been waiting 5 years to do this right here. My team never gave up. I just don't know what to say right now.
Congrats and enjoy the win.
Well, you love the emotion of these first-time wins. Benny Hamlet, his entire team, they worked so hard, so long, and now they are winners. You can imagine the excitement down there as we're watching Benny Hamlet get out of the car. Let's go down to Bob.
Benny Hamlet stands tall for the first time in victory lane in the late model series competition. He put a little bit of a dent there in the roof of that number 55 machine, and you could tell you're a first-time winner because you couldn't do the donuts out there.
Yeah, and when I started to do the donuts, I lost a complete clutch in the car, so that's an idiot of me. But, hey, we'll take the win. Let me tell you, this Smyrna Pond Gunfire Reynolds Gossett Auto Parts for Thunderbird, Taurus, that's what it is, run superb tonight. I'd like to thank my guys. We won a championship down in '95 in a different division, and it took us a while to get here to victory lane in this late model division, but I told them all week, I said, we're going to win this one, guys, I promise you. So this is their trophy and momentum for next year.
Your family down here giving you hugs and kisses as well, and now you got to fix the roof as well.
That's all right. We're going to put the body off of it after the night anyway. But I would like to thank my mother. She's put countless amount of money in this thing. My sister and brother-in-law, Mike Davis, they put tremendous amount of money in it. Most of all, I'd like to thank my wife and my kids because they let me do it.
Congratulations, Benny. Jim?
With second place, G.E. Chapman, but G.E., the way you climbed out and the crew is celebrating, it was like a big win for you.
Yeah, I tell you, after the year we've had this year, it's been pretty tough on us. We've had a lot of problems, but RotaZip, they've been with us all year, and I really appreciate it. Galaxy Motorsport, Darwin, Joey Kincaid for helping us, Alex, Devo, Keith, my wife Kelly, everybody for coming out and helping us out. We had a great run tonight, and I really appreciate Randy Parker helping us with the motor. A lot of local help. A lot of people from Mark Day's crew has helped us, and I just want to thank everybody at Galaxy, Twin Fountains Raceway, and RotaZip. I really appreciate it.
Total group effort, Mike Hogwood.
Indeed it was, and our congrats to both of those guys. Benny Hamlet, G.E. Chapman, so excited. Brian Rose, Stedman Marlin, who won the last race, almost made it 2 in a row. Ricky Sanford had another strong run here at Nashville. Stuart Kirby, Jeff Roberts recovered from some early problems. Mark Day just didn't quite have it here in this race tonight, not like he did a year ago here.
Struggled tonight.
Yeah. Bo Miller ran in both the trucks and the late models. Tommy Clymer, famous name, and had a good run late. Came home 15. Well, Chuck Bound, you know what? It is fun to watch a guy like a Benny Hamlet win for the first time, and he's been working for years for this. And, you know, his family has supported him, and it does take an understanding family to do this crazy business of racing.
Yeah, it sure does. He's a lucky man. He drove a good race tonight, deserved it. And I congratulate him. It didn't quite have the climatic finish that the trucks had with Tandy Marlin there, but I congratulate them both. They ran great races.
Yeah, Benny Hamlet really deserved it, and you know what? G.E. Chapman is going to use this as momentum for next year.
Oh, yeah. Lots more to come at Nashville in the future.
There indeed it is. And Tandy Marlin was our winner in the truck race tonight. We want to congratulate him, and what an exciting finish that was, beating the national champion, Mike Reynolds, coming down to the end. Well, it has been a fun weekend for all of us here in Nashville. Glad you've shared it with us. The super trucks and the late models. Congrats to Tandy Marlin, Benny Hamlet. For Bob Dillner and Jim Trelo and Chuck Bound up here in the booth, it's been a lot of fun, Chuck. I've had a great time. I'm Mike Hogwood. Thanks for being with us at Nashville. So long, everybody.